I think the BBC, frankly, is on very, very shaky territory, thin ice. Gary Lineker could quite easily turn round to Richard Sharp, the chairman of the BBC, and say, well, you can't talk to me about impartiality. I didn't facilitate an £800,000 loan to the Prime Minister. And I certainly, I'm not under investigation for dodgy activity like that. Richard Sharp may be perfectly in the clear, but at the moment, there's still a question mark hanging over his behaviour. And yet, Gary Lineker is held to a higher standard. He's allowed to question the behaviour of Qatar and the human rights abuses that he identified at the beginning of the World Cup, but he's not allowed to question the behaviour of our own government. I think there's a double standard there, isn't there? He's allowed to question the behaviour or the continued political career of the leader of the opposition, but not of the Secretary of State running the Home Office. Again, I think there's something very odd here. We always thought that the BBC took a sort of diametrically opposite view to whatever government happened to be in power. Perhaps no longer. Perhaps now the BBC is the organ of number 10. Maybe we should all switch off. Maybe we should all stop paying the licence fee. Maybe this is all a contrived effort by Nadine Dorries to devalue and to discredit the BBC. Maybe it is some great plot, and Gary Lineker is a puppet controlled by some distant, unknown figure. I don't know. Maybe Gary Lineker is going to do to the BBC what Sue Gray is going to do to the civil service. Both of them controlled by unknown forces and made to demonstrate how completely absurd these two camps are, the BBC and the civil service. Neither can be wholly impartial. And in order to apply that impartiality, the BBC simply needed to redress the balance, to find something else to say about the opposition. But it didn't. Instead, it has had a field day, barking out the story minute by minute, because it knows it's going to get coverage. It knows it's going to attract attention. And it is. It really is. Gary Lineker doesn't need the money and he doesn't need the work. If I were Gary Lineker, I would wipe my hands of the whole thing and I would walk.